Back in the chair, eh?
Yeah.
Back in the chair. Do you remember how to be a podcast superstar?
No, I don't remember how to do this.
Oh, fuck.
For TV.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. We are the podcast that covers all things Doctor Who Extended Universe, from MAs to EDAs, from Dalek spin-offs to Cybermen rip-offs, from clangers to bangers, we cover it all. This week I'm joined by a very special guest who some of the listeners here may be familiar with. So who is joining me here in the Too Hot for TV studio / room in my house?
It's former podcast member Jack.
Oh, hi Jack. Well, where have you been?
Well, I've been writing. I've been reading all things that aren't related to Doctor Who.
What's
So I've
that
been-
like?
There's a lot less Daleks.
A lot less
Yeah.
wheezing and groaning.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, thanks for coming back to the fold for what's sure to be the best episode of this series.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be back.
Good. Have you consumed any Doctor Who stuff since you've last been here? It's been nearly a year. Anything that sticks in your mind? Or have you just completely expunged Doctor Who completely from your life?
Well, no, I have a remote job where I can keep stuff running in the background. So I saw the Sea Devils the other day whilst I was working because I can just keep it running.
Yeah.
Because I work as a designer, so I can do visual work and listen to stuff at the same time. Yeah, Sea Devils, that's a bit fucking weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. It's I watched it because we recently saw the Radiophonic Workshop in a
Yes.
performance, and I thought, I'll listen to that mad old bingy bongy zingy wingy noise that Malcolm Clark made. It's fucking mad.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I don't love the Sea Devil. You know, like it's always revered as a classic. I'm a bit meh about it, to be honest.
I quite like it. I think it's a lot scarier than Legend of the Sea Devils.
Yeah.
The ending's a bit easy, but no, I like it. There's nothing wrong at all.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. So, we're sat here on the eve of Jodie Whittaker's final episode. We're going to be watching it in
Yes.
about 3 hours' time,
Yes.
which is very exciting.
Yeah.
What are your predictions?
I think I don't have any expectations. I don't want them to be too high,
Right.
but they're not that low. I've overall enjoyed the Chibnall era,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's mind-blowingly good.
Okay.
So it's very odd considering the last time we had such a big anniversary celebration story, it was Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
And I think, if anything, my expectations for that were too high. And for
Yeah.
this, I have no expectations at all.
Oh, that's good. Things can only improve. If you had to predict 3 things that will happen, and as this goes out, you'll get a if you get them wrong.
Okay. I think the old Doctors will be in it,
Yeah.
in some kind of a weird cameo, which might not even work, but they'll be there. I think Jodie Whittaker will get a very good send-off, and it will be very sad in terms of like her final speech and how she dies. I think that will be quite strong. What I would like, but I don't know if they'll do it, would be for the Doctor and Yaz to kiss, but I don't know if it will happen or not.
Yeah. Do you think we might get like a weird meta crisis 10th, 13th Doctor situation where they send Yaz off with a clone of?
Oh, that'd be weird.
Yeah. I mean, it was weird last time.
Yeah. No, it's odd. But and my prediction for the end is that Ncuti Gatwa will appear for a very split moment before quickly changing into David Tennant.
Okay.
Because it's already been publicly announced that David Tennant is coming back.
Yeah.
So I think they would do something to upend that a bit, and we'll see a brief glimpse of Ncuti, and then he'll disappear.
My 3 predictions are that the Timeless Child story will not be fully resolved.
Yeah.
Somebody will die, but it'll be like a Kate Stewart or a Vinda rather than Yaz or Dan. And that it'll be an open-ended we won't see who Jodie turns into, but David Tennant will appear some way, somehow. Those are my 3 predictions. But we're not here to talk about the television series Doctor Who, are we? What are we talking about today, Jack?
We're talking about Series 1 of Dalek Empire.
From The Big Finish.
Too hot for TV.
Hello, it's Future Dylan here again, just to say, rather than do what we normally do, where we will do a synopsis and then talk about the release, we didn't want to divide things up so much here, so we're really just going to go through the story beat by beat and examine it, with the odd news at the time thrown in for good measure. Before we jump into it full, what are your thoughts on the Daleks in the classic series up to this point? So forget about the new series, how do you feel about the general evolution of the Daleks over 26 odd years?
I have always enjoyed them. They've never scared me, but I've always found them exciting. So I think they're exciting to watch. I think as a kid, I loved Planet of the Daleks, and I loved Remembrance of the Daleks.
That's because they're 2 fucking belters.
Well, I don't think every fan would agree on Planet of the Daleks.
No, but they'd be wrong.
But yeah, I think Remembrance of the Daleks is probably the best story from the classic series. I'm going to put it out there. I think it's one of a minority of stories that you could show to someone now that they would enjoy. As dated as it is, I think it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I would agree. It's weird you say the Daleks never scared you, because you're right, the Daleks never scared me watching Doctor Who. But before I even saw Doctor Who as a child, there was something at the NEC in Birmingham. There was like an inside fair, and I remember going there and there being a Dalek, like a full-size Dalek, scooting around and being absolutely fucking terrified of it. And that, I would say, even when we went to conventions up until about the age of 10, I found Daleks in real life terrifying, but not in the TV series.
Yeah. Odd that.
Yeah.
I find them scary in the Daleks' master plan for some reason. I don't know why. I think seeing the surviving clips of Katerina dying, as a kid, you go, oh wow, that's Doctor Who is a really dark, serious drama. Even though it's not. It's not. But as a kid, it was like, oh wow, things were really tough then when things were in black and white.
But you know, it's weird. I think the nearest they get to being scary for me when I was a kid is on audio of the soundtracks to Power and Evil. I remember listening to them and thinking that, wow, the Daleks sound fucking mean. But, you know, in the Pertwee era, I think they're slightly less effective because everything's a bit 70s and kind of janky. And then once Davros shows up, they're just servants, really, aren't they? They become a bit too robotic. But there we go. So you heard Dalek Empire Series 1 upon its first release. Before coming back to this, how did you remember it?
I remembered it being really solidly good. I remember it being quite a hardcore kind of... I remember it being a bit of an adult drama in that it wasn't the same as Doctor Who and that the characters really went through the ringer in it. That was my main memory.
Yeah. One of the interesting things that I found... I felt much the same, but coming back to it, was a lot of the stuff I really remember about it isn't in this series.
Same here.
So there's lots of things that maybe we'll discuss as we go through the sort of story beats of it. But yeah, most of the stuff that really sticks out is not present in this first series. So it's a 4-part series. The first one is Invasion of the Daleks, which was recorded on the 6th of May 2001 at the Moat Studios and released on the 25th of June 2001. At the time, Caves of Androzani had just come out on Blu-ray. The 8th Doctor story, Minuet in Hell, had just come out. The 8th Doctor book was Eater of Wasps by Trevor Baxendale, while The Doctor's Effect by Steve Camden was out about the VFX of Doctor Who. Past Doctor Adventure was the 4th Doctor and Nyssa, what a combination, in Asylum. And Big Finish had announced a new writer called Joseph Lidster was writing a story called The Priory, set in and around a contemporary nightclub/disco, which obviously became The Rapture. Christopher Biggins was announced starring in a Feast of Stephen style episode of Doctor Who, along with Matt Lucas and Adam Buxton, which is a pretty good lineup, which would ultimately become the One Doctor. And the comic strip was The Last Word, a 10th anniversary celebration of the new adventures featuring the 7th Doctor, Ace and Benny. Any of those stick out to you particularly?
I remember that comic strip and the audios released and the Doctor's effects. It's obviously all pre 9/11, so it's just
Is that how you mark things in your life?
No, but it is
Doctor Who got shit after 9/11.
It is it's odd imagining the couple of. I think it's because I've recently been watching Adam Curtis's new documentary series about Russia, and obviously it's all about politics, and so politically, the world is divided between pre and post 9/11. So it's odd to think of those couple of months. It has no impact on the storytelling of Doctor Who. But that's just all I'm thinking is like, oh wow, yeah, just innocent days.
Really, it was the release of the One Doctor in December of just after 9/11 that really picked up the mood of the nation, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. No, for Doctor Who, I remember it being a very good time.
Less so if you lived in New York. So, Dalek Empire 1, Invasion of the Daleks. So, the Earth Alliance detects an anomaly on the fringes of the galaxy, so they send a ship to investigate, and it's destroyed by thousands of ships. We then jump to Vega 6, where we meet taxi driver Albie Brooke and Susan Mendez, who is his favourite customer. Suze is on a mission for the Reisberg Institute, looking for rare minerals, but they go for a picnic that's interrupted by a crashing spaceship, which, we've used worse excuses to get out of dates. So, these are our leads. Do you buy their budding relationship here?
I really like the actors who play both parts.
Yeah.
How their romance develops is kind of this. I can only talk about it in the context of the whole series.
That's fine.
Which is that it's insinuated that they're both pining for each other.
Yeah.
But you never find out whether they actually did anything.
Yeah.
So this is the thing that if it was written today, with the hindsight of the characterization of the new series, it would immediately get addressed.
Yeah.
And what you're expecting is that you have this opener of them eating pickled onions.
Yeah. Which is a weird thing to do on a date.
Yes. Yeah. And then you don't know whether he is her taxi driver, essentially, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's been sent to also keep an eye on her, right?
So I thought he's undercover as a spy, tracking her, but has fallen for her.
Yeah.
But it's never implied whether they've had a lot of dates or whether he's just the taxi driver, whether they've even kissed. And so I kept expecting there's going to be a flashback scene to show more of what happened between them, because they're suddenly obsessed with well, it's never quite implied. They say it never really started. Yeah. So it might just be a crush. And so it's this odd thing of it's a series for adult Doctor Who fans, but the romance is very kind of off-screen and kind of there's nothing adult about the relationship.
That's because most Doctor Who fans hadn't had adult relationships at that point.
That was a kind of a quibble for me, because I buy the actors both selling the fact that they've both got these feelings for each other, but a pickled onion does not a romance make. You know this.
No, yeah, I do. Many a times have I showed up with a pickled onion and it's not enough to seal the deal.
Yeah, but the actors are good enough that you kind of, by the end of it, I kind of didn't care that we don't know whether that, what was it like? A fumble over a meal deal. Very odd.
Well, they're Chekhov's pickled onions, aren't they? Because of course they come back in the in the third part.
Yeah,
I do think their relationship is one of the less successful parts of the script. I think Nick Briggs is good at dialogue when it's all action and gung ho and things like that, but in terms of the interaction between two people that might have a bit of chemistry, less so. But it's also, he's got a regional accent, so there is kind of a move away from Doctor Who was still quite RP back in the day.
Yeah.
Albie is played by Mark McDonnell, who did quite a few early Big Finishes and sounds a little bit like Steve Pemberton from time to time. And Suze is played by Sarah Mowat, who is in The Sirens of Time and a few other Big Finishes. But as leads, I think they're good enough actors to kind of guide you through the whole thing. So they rush back to the city to try and find out what's going on, but all long-range transmissions are down, so they can only get local broadcasts, and a local broadcast is interrupted by a Dalek announcing that the Vega system is now part of the Dalek Empire. What do we think of this intro to the Daleks, and also how they sound in this?
It's interesting hearing it now, because we've been overloaded by Daleks, and Big Finish probably have a Dalek release once a month. It feels like that in terms of...
Yeah, something like
there's
that.
There's a lot of them. And so it's odd listening to it now because it's so restrained, as in they're there, but they're not quite a presence, and there's quite a slow build-up to them coming. And the thing that I found was that the sense of dread and threat just builds and builds, because... It opens like it could be any Doctor Who story, and the fact that the Doctor doesn't turn up is what suddenly you reach a point where you're like, oh god, things are just going to get worse.
I mean, this is a problem with this and all Doctor Who spin-offs. It's like, where is the Doctor?
Yeah.
What was he doing this month? Or these 2 years? It's weird hearing Dalek voices pre-new series, because they're obvious. They've
I didn't notice a difference.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
There were more kind of, I'd say, slightly more somewhere between Planet of the Daleks and Evil of the Daleks, rather than they're not quite as booming as they have been. And it's
the Emperor is.
Yeah, the Emperor is, but the Emperor always sounds great. There's always also the fact that they just don't have that movement sound for Daleks yet. So quite often throughout it, people announce, like they used to in the old series, they'll be like, Supreme Dalek on the bridge, 3 Daleks go here, go there, because they move silently. It's interesting because their introduction's effective as well, but I suppose what I think is the ultimate introduction to the Daleks is at the beginning of Stolen Earth, where they're booming voices and all that music, but it's done subtler. Yeah,
it reminded me of War of the Worlds in terms of the pod kind of crashing on the common. Like is it a ship or it's one Dalek crashes? I'm not sure, but it's
I thought it was an Earth ship.
Was it?
Yeah, it's like something gets destroyed in a battle and crashes. So Albie knows of the Daleks and says they need to get off world, but Suze needs to go and find a family, so they sort of have a bit of a row. Then the Daleks lay cities to waste, bombarding the planet, scorching the land. The weak and the wounded are exterminated. They start robotising people, and the Daleks drill through the crust of the planet because the Daleks are nothing if not predictable. What do we think about this plan?
I wasn't really even following it in terms of it just felt... I feel like there's a lot of tension in the fact that you're just waiting for everybody to be killed.
Yeah.
Because there's just a real sense of doom and gloom in the atmosphere that you don't... I didn't really particularly care why they were there or what they were doing. I was more just wrapped up in the atmosphere of... The more time passes, the more you become... It's really effective in that the more time passes and the more the Doctor doesn't turn up, there's this sense of, oh, this is just how things are now.
Yeah.
Like, we're all enslaved and could die at any point, which is this surprisingly effective.
Yeah, and they set it over months and months and months, so it's not... Although the storytelling's quite quick, you get the impression that people are just downtrodden and defeated. But I also think Briggs has thought about kind of the military strategy of the Daleks. So it is a bit Daleks Invasion of Earth and a bit Destiny of the Daleks as well. But he's trying to make it on a bigger sci-fi scale. It's kind of an audio version a little bit in this first part of how I think people would have liked Destiny of the Daleks to look instead of just looking a bit, 1970s recession.
Yeah. Which is an aesthetic that's coming back.
Very true. While Albie goes off and gets drunk on a spaceship and...
Wait, sorry, I've got a point there.
Yeah.
Talking of the aesthetic, what I remember clearly from this was that this was when... I don't know if they still do it because I don't read Doctor Who magazine anymore, but they would always release a small, 3 comic strip panels to promote any Big Finish audio.
They don't do that anymore.
So I remember listening to this and then seeing the comic strip panel afterwards, and it was so odd because I just listened to the audio and took it as it was, and then the illustrations that I think Martin Gerharty drew for it has everyone in kind of retro 70s, 60s Dalek comic outfits, and I remember being really shocked, being like, oh, that's the kind of world this is meant to be set in. Because in my head, everyone just kind of looks...
I suppose the cover design by Clayton Hickman's quite sort of 60s, 70s... I mean,
a bit retro.
Yeah, he based it on the poster designer who did lots of film things like Clockwork Orange and stuff like that. But
because I always imagine it being a lot more contemporary, but I remember the promotional imagery was like everyone's, people are wearing like green visors, and it's a bit more 60s.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I do not think of them in...
No.
Trashy, pulpy sci-fi outfits. So Albie goes off and gets drunk on a spaceship and reveals himself to be a spy. Suze gets the short end of the stick. She's a slave of the Daleks, where she meets this old geezer who's given up on the idea of survival. She helps into the slave pen, and a Dalek realises she's helping him and tells Suze to leave him alone, presumably to exterminate him. But Suze refuses. She's broken by everything, so stands up to the Daleks, and the Dalek doesn't exterminate her. Instead, he reports her defiance to the Dalek Supreme and is ordered to let her live. Now, this old guy is Carlendorf, or Carl for short, a former Knight of Valicia, played by Gareth Thomas of Blake Seven fame. Now, you're a Blake Seven fan.
Yes.
What do you think of him here? Is he any different from Blake?
I never thought of it like that. I just thought it's Gareth Thomas.
Yeah.
I guess he could be like an older Blake.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Blake from the final story, called Blake, where he's a lot more downtrodden and world-weary, and you're not quite sure whether he's a goodie or a baddie. So I guess it could be the same. But has Carlendorf appeared in the Big Finish main range?
He shows up, not in the main range, but I think there's like a subscriber special where the Seventh Doctor and Carl meet. So
right, in the Sirens of Time, there's a Knight of Alicia, but it's not. It's not Gareth Thomas, is it? It's another guy.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
We also get John Wadmore of BBV fame and Nick Briggs show up. John plays Pellin, who's the guy that's sort of stuck with Albie, and Nick Briggs plays the head of Earth Security, Tanley, which is a good Terry Nation sort of name, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Daleks try to work everyone to death, and an angry and exhausted Suze confronts the Daleks and tells them people need rest and food. Did the Daleks not know this already?
Well, I quite enjoyed that because they should know this already. I mean, they fed
Victoria.
In the first episode, they feed the Doctor and his companions, but it does make them more alien by the fact that they just have no idea how we function.
Yeah,
I actually enjoyed that, even if it makes no continuity sense.
It doesn't make a huge amount of sense, but there's some nice moments here. We get like a Robo Man that's exhausted, and the Daleks don't understand why it just basically collapses.
Yeah, I prefer that approach, to be honest.
Yeah,
because they really seem like almost like children without empathy.
Yeah,
they're just like, why can't you just keep working?
Yeah, and her confronting the Dalek is well handled, and you also get that nice moment where Carl asks what's so important about her work, and she's like, oh, I can't tell you, it's classified, and they both start laughing. Which is quite a nice human moment, and then obviously the Dalek gets annoyed because they don't like laughing.
Yeah.
So Susan the Dalek Supreme become a bit pally, and he uses her as a representative and basically invents a workers' union.
Yes.
Because this is sort of how the unions got started in the Industrial Revolution, and it's at this point we learn that Carl can read people's minds. So Suze and him hatch a bit of a plan, but we don't know what that is, while Suze starts talking to people and giving them hope. That's kind of the main thrust of the episode. I love there's a big time jump on her big speech at the end, so we get the headlines without repeating it. And then, just to finish off the episode, Albie's ship is attacked and destroyed by Daleks. Him and Pellin escape, and Pellin tells Albie he overheard some chatter on the Dalek network about Susan Mendes, which somewhat flummoxes Albie.
The Dalek network. I don't know why I'm immediately thinking of something like Babe Station with Daleks.
Coming soon from Big Finish Audios. Now, I think it's important to also say that the whole thing is narrated by what we presume to be an older Suze, which is a lady called Joyce Gibbs.
Yeah.
But, more of that later, I reckon.
Yeah.
How does this first one stand up 20 years later.
It sets up the main kind of thrust of the first series, which is about Suze's character, discovering that the Daleks want her to give the other slaves hope to make them more efficient.
Yeah.
And the kind of whether is she collaborating, is she being good or bad for having done that, which I find quite interesting.
I was a little taken aback that it wasn't quite the sprawling sci-fi epic, action epic I remember. But then also, it's important to note, it's 21 years old.
Yeah.
And to do something another podcast guest, Michael Mills, did previously. It's as old now as the Leisure Hive would have been at the time of this audio release. So it's naive of me not to expect it to have aged in any way, shape or form. It's not quite as action-packed as I remembered.
Yeah.
The human drama at the heart of it doesn't always work, but it's mainly their relationship, I think, at the moment. The subjugation is fine. And I would say it's a little bit more Deep Space Nine than Battlestar Galactica, if I'm kind of looking for contemporary reference points.
When was Battlestar Galactica the remake?
That was a couple of years. It was the same time as the new series, so
okay,
we were sort of 4 or 5 years off.
Because it feels like there isn't a template for this to follow.
Yeah.
In terms of, it's a spin-off of Doctor Who for the adult, grown-up fans of Doctor Who, and it's kind of a midpoint between doing interesting things like politically and philosophically, but also not quite having. It's still following the tropes of kind of capture and escape of old Doctor Who.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have an example from either the new series or shows like Battlestar Galactica to help it.
Definitely.
Which is why I'm really interested to see how it changes over the other series as it develops.
Too.
But it feels like a very kind of mixed first series.
Yeah. So trivia. Big Finish had been going for a few years. Gary Russell was the head producer in charge. He went on holiday, and Nick Briggs pitched this straight to Jason Haigh Gallery because he didn't think Gary would like it. So so he pitched it straight there, and he commissioned it while he was on holiday. Do the Daleks feel menacing, like a menacing threat?
I think they do.
Yeah,
me
too.
I think, but it's more the atmosphere that the series builds up.
Yeah,
is what makes them threatening.
They're an oppressive force in a way that I don't think you quite feel they are on TV.
Yeah.
Like, as a kid, or at least I didn't.
And also, this is, like, the character of the Doctor with the new series has been changed to this idea that if he turns up, everybody will be alright.
Yeah. And
that didn't exist here. So the Daleks turn up and lots of people die. Yeah. And they're not going to get reset. Which makes them more threatening.
They're also very manipulative, which I think you lose in the 80s. I think you get that in the 60s. But they're an oppressive, manipulative, just interesting force. And they feel like they will come to your planet and fuck shit up.
Yeah. And as it develops, there's just so much paranoia of not knowing who is a Dalek agent and who isn't.
Yeah, 100%. Should we move on to the second one? The second one is The Human Factor, which was released on the 6th of August 2001, recorded on the 3rd of June 2001 at the Moat Studios. Also out at the time, the 8th Doctor adventure was The Year of the Intelligent Tiger. The TV movie was on DVD, The Sunmakers was on VHS, and Big Finish released the Audio Companions Talk Back interviews with India Fisher, Maggie Staples and Lisa Bowerman. The BBC released the Abominable Snowman soundtrack. Other Big Finish releases: Lugaroo, Dust Breeding. The comic strip was the 8th Doctor story Flower Power, and those are the main releases at the time. Anything you want to big up? Anything you love in there?
The Year of Intelligent Tigers is a really good book.
Is it?
I think it's by Jacqueline Rayner.
Yeah, I didn't put that there.
I think it's by her. Or was it? No, it's by Kate Orman.
Right.
And I think it's about the Doctor spends like a year living on this planet full of talking intelligent tigers, and he plays violin to them. I remember really enjoying it, and I can also tell you nothing about what happens in it. But Kate Orman is a terrific writer, so
yeah, I'm sure it's good. I would like to revisit that potentially. Doctor Who news at the time: Tell Us Publishing announced their first Doctor Who novella, Kim Newman's Time and Relative, which was the first Doctor Who story officially approved by the BBC to be set before the TV series. It was also announced Lee Sullivan would be doing some illustrations for the forthcoming Death Comes to Time pilot being broadcast on the internet. And On the 19th of June edition of Channel 4's betting show Bonsai, Peter Davison was asked out of which 3 doctors he would choose to have sex with if the Daleks invaded Earth. Can you guess who it was?
Tom Baker?
No, it was Sylvester McCoy. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, he is fit. He can do things with ferrets and spoons.
Yeah, and that's what Peter was after. The story picks up 6 months later, and the Garrison mines are at 110% efficiency thanks to Suze. The Daleks get her to travel the galaxy to give everyone hope, but Carl calls her out on it. She's the only Dalek slave who volunteered for the position, and those words hurt her. What do we think of Carl and Suze's relationship?
I like it a lot. I think that's the best thing about this series, because it throws up lots of philosophical questions. Bizarrely, this year I read a book called Man's Search for Meaning, and it's by an Auschwitz former Auschwitz prisoner, and it's kind of bizarrely relates to a lot of the subject of this.
No, I can see that.
But he was a psychiatrist who was imprisoned, and so and obviously they were, it was a concentration camp, so they were forced to work and to make railway lines and do construction, and it was all about how the prisoners found their meaning,
right? And
so a lot of it was his observations about life there, and the premise of his kind of thesis is that you can endure any kind of pain or torment if you can take meaning from it.
Right, I get that with a lot of big finishers.
It's an incredible book, and it's a very important book to humanity.
Yeah.
I don't know whether comparing it to Dalek Empire is the wisest move. But it's talking about how people derive meaning, and it's very, very interesting. Yeah, so in Dalek Empire, she's giving the prisoners hope so that there will be more efficient workers, but she's also, she's like a union rep in that she gets more food and rest for the workers.
Yeah. And
Karlendorf is essentially there as her friend, but is also the only person who's saying you're essentially a collaborator.
Yeah.
And is always kind of making her feel uncomfortable. And it does go into interesting territory as to whether they are almost essentially the enemy.
Yeah.
By doing what they're doing. So I think it's a good dramatic premise for 2 characters.
I buy their relationship more because there's no kind of hint of a sexual history or anything like that than her and Albie's. It's just, they're uneasy bedfellows essentially. They wouldn't be mates IRL.
Yeah.
But here they are thrown into this situation that neither of them ever thought they'd be in. Now, what do you think of how the Daleks use Suze?
It's interesting because they've obviously got a broader plan for her, and you never quite know what that is.
Yeah.
There's a scene where, I think it's in the first episode, where they show her a clip of her wanting to die, and then once they've kind of fed her and given her some rest, they show the clip again and oh, so you don't want to die now?
Yeah. And
it's really interesting because it is the properly alien species figuring out what makes another species tick.
Yeah. And learning how to exploit that.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's really effective and interesting. It's odd because they're never empathising with her. They're just kind of prodding and poking and seeing what works to get what they want, which I think is very effective.
Yeah. So, the slaves on Garrison's moon K5000 are refusing to work. A young hothead called Morebi has heard Karlendorf's telepathic message, which he's basically been going around sowing seeds of revolution in people's minds, but the people are supposed to wait for this planned rebellion, but he's acted far too soon. So Carl goes to deal with it, and he's soon followed by the Daleks and Suze. This is one of the best bits of the series for me. I really enjoyed this scene, despite the fact that Morebi is just Nick Briggs with a French accent.
Yes, yeah.
I think it's you really start to see life under under an oppressive Dalek force, and they've burnt a bunch of robo-men. They've got this Dalek that they smashed up and are torturing, and Morebi's just gone fucking mad because he's really happy that he's done this.
Yeah.
But then Carl's like, what are you... how many people died just trying to do this, to kill one Dalek? So, anyway, the Daleks show up, and Suze goes in to speak to them, and you don't hear the conversation, and then the Daleks, under Suze's sort of instruction, kill Merebi and his men, and indeed the person that reported it. Because if they were going to get if any of those people got interrogated, they would eventually find out what Suze and Carl were planning, which is a fucking savage moment. What this series looks at a lot is what people will go to survive and to fight back and stuff like that. So it's just quite a grim moment for me of the reality of life under a Dalek oppression. Meanwhile, Albie and Pellin come out of hypersleep. They get attacked by Daleks and descend into the planet Guria's atmosphere to contact some rebels, but are soon captured by Daleks. Do we think it's the planet's named after
Simon Guria?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. We also learn a little bit about Project Infinity starts getting mentioned, which will become important later. The Gurian rebels are giving the Daleks some shit, and the Earth Alliance are heading there. So we meet the Gurian Highness and daughter. The Highness is played by Adrian Lloyd-James in his only Big Finish role, and the daughter is played by Georgina Carter, who's also in Jubilee. Now, these are two interesting characters that get thrown in.
Yeah, so they turn up laughing all the time.
Yeah.
And at first you think they've just gone mad under Dalek oppression, but then it turns out they're just winding the Daleks up. But goes on far too fucking long, that scene.
He reminded me a little bit of either Christopher Biggins or what's the from the Celestial Toy, Yaru. What you know,
Billy Bunt,
the Billy Bunter rip-off. Yeah. So Guria have one of the most ineffectual workforces because I guess they're trying to portray them as a work of pompous idiots, but they're not. They're just trying to wind people up and irritate the Daleks.
Do you think this planet's named after every Doctor Who writer?
Yes, Dix Minor.
Yeah. Planet Roberts. People aren't allowed to go there anymore.
Very true, very true. As the Earth Alliance attacks, the Highness is killed. Albie and Pellin are taken to the control room, and the Earth forces are actually winning. Albie briefly sees Suze on a screen. Suze and Albie are separated again, and the Dalek Supreme starts discussing Suze's humanity to find out what Albie means to her.
This is what I found interesting, because in the book I read, the psychiatrist in this camp would have sessions with prisoners that were despairing. They'd say, and who didn't want to live, they'd go through with, come on, there must be one person you can think of in the world that will... that you should live for. Whether they're alive or dead, can you think of one person that will want you to remain alive? And so that's what I found interesting, in that the world's gone to shit, but they both... Well, Albie is essentially living for Suze, in a way, even though it's clearly there's not even really a relationship there.
Yeah.
So that it kind of made sense, but it only works if they finally meet and they're like, oh, we've actually got nothing in common.
Yeah. There's always that danger. It's like internet dating when you get on with someone really well and you're messaging loads, and then you actually meet them in real life and you're like, oh.
Yeah. But in this book, the account was that prisoners would go home and after being, freed, and suddenly the people they'd been living for might have moved on or remarried.
Yeah, of course.
So they had to face up to that.
That's fucking horrible.
Yeah, anyway, back to Big Finish.
Daleks are real bastards though, aren't they?
They are,
yeah. We also get a bunch of cutaways to like the big battles, which I don't think work quite as effectively on audio, but there you go. Days later, Albie wakes up to find the Daleks have lost, but he's lost his legs. The Daleks attack again after regrouping. Pellin and Albie escape in a Dalek saucer, which is picked up by the Earth Alliance forces. The Earth soldiers cut through the bulkhead, and as Albie and Pellin try to explain that they're not Daleks and they're on the same side, the soldiers open fire. Anything more to say on part 2?
No. I'm just glad that the Daleks will always have saucers.
Yes.
That's just firmly established. They will never have any other type of ship.
No.
Because they're such a retro design, they will always need to have a flying saucer.
100%. And I think that was one of the smart moves Ross C. Davis did when bringing back the show, was like, they're fucking flying saucers.
Yeah.
So part 3, Death to the Daleks, ! Was released on the 29th of October 2001 and recorded on the 2nd of September 2001 at the Moat Studios. Ark in Space was due to get new effects for the DVD release, and BBC Online confirmed that Death Comes to Time would be completed in the first half of the next year, with 15 10-minute episodes to be webcast once a week. Also, Peter Davison in the news again. What a guy. He'd just come home from filming a day's work on The Last Detective when he was disturbed by the sound of his car alarm. He rushed to see a thief running off with his video camera on which he had captured the birth of his son Joel just the day before. Davison gave chase in his Chrysler Cruiser, cornering the 15-year-old robber in a dead end, and then made a citizen's arrest until the police came.
That's why Peter Davison is the best Doctor Who.
Exactly.
Colin Baker couldn't do that.
Not late 90s, Colin.
No.
Out on DVD was Vengeance on Varos. Also from Real Time, An Englishman on Gallifrey. The Eighth Doctor, Fitz and Angie were in the book Dark Progeny. Big Finish released the Sixth Doctor and Evelyn story Project Twilight, and the Past Doctor story was Bullet Time by David A. McKinty, featuring the Seventh Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith. While the comic strip was the Eighth Doctor story The Witches. Anything you want to say about those?
Bullet Time, I think, is about Sarah Jane meeting the Seventh Doctor and her being kind of repulsed by how he's turned into this kind of manipulative, darker version of the Doctor.
Interesting. So it's like a school reunion, but bad.
Yes, yeah, but that was quite a common thread because that happened again in Dark Fusion. Is essentially about the Fifth Doctor being ashamed of the Seventh Doctor's behaviour.
Cold Fusion,
yeah. And then the Sarah Jane Smith series is very dour as well.
Yeah,
it's very.
It is.
There's none of the heroism of the CBBC series.
Nobody in the 90s and the noughties wanted any of the Doctor Who companions to have a happy ending.
Yeah.
Especially Dodo, who died of syphilis, was it, or something like that?
Oh, I thought it was an alien STD.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So, Earth Security kill Pellin, who it turns out is a Dalek spy, and Albie is reunited with his boss Tanley, once again played by Nicholas Briggs, and who says the word Valisha in a very interesting way.
Yeah. And Pellin is a Dalek agent, and we didn't know it. I think that was quite a cool twist.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that as well.
Yes. And do you think the actual agents that represent, like Nicholas Briggs and Nicholas Pegg, call themselves Dalek agents?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I much prefer this version of Dalek agents than the ones where Moffat has like a thing coming out their head and then a gun coming out of their hand.
That's very silly.
Yeah, which just doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Not like everything else in Doctor Who, which is perfectly believable. The Daleks have finished mining Veganite from Vega 6, so they scoot off to the Lopari system, where Project Destiny awaits. The Earth Alliance forces retreat, leaving Gurria to the Daleks, because they basically just ran off to regroup, didn't they? And it really feels like things are heating up at this point. It's revealed that the Knights of Valisha are one of the Daleks' bitterest enemies. Don't remember that being a thing.
No.
Back in the day. But they, in fact, before the invasion, the Earth Alliance was due to negotiate with the Knights to form an anti-Dalek alliance. Tanley is worried that Suze has given away details of Project Infinity. Now, you said there was a Knight of Valisha in Silence of Time.
Yeah.
These stories do relate to other Dalek stories, like
All of the initial Big Finish Dalek stories have this odd continuity in terms of their first debut at Big Finish was the Genocide Machine.
Yeah.
And so they steal files from the Karcharat library.
Yes.
And they kind of they use that information to then, they do something in the mutant phase, but I'm not sure what it is. And then they use that information to invade Gallifrey and the Apocalypse Element.
The only one of those I remember well is the Apocalypse Element. The others, I could not tell you what happens in them.
Yeah, that was pretty full on. The Apocalypse Element at the time, considering the Time War was now a big thing, the Daleks invading Gallifrey was pretty insane.
Yeah, I remember it feeling like the most epic version of Doctor Who that it could possibly be.
Yeah.
I'm sure going back to it, it'd probably feel slightly dated. Years pass, and the Dalek advance across the galaxy continues. Thanks to Suze, the slave labour forces work at peak efficiency, showing no hint of rebellion. Do we think Suze is getting a bit big for her boots at this point?
Yes, yeah, but I think it's believable.
Yeah.
As a collaborator, that you would feel kind of different and other. this is part 3. This is part 3
Yeah.
we're talking about,
Yeah.
No, this had my favourite bits in it of the characterisation of her and Karlendorf and how you would go a bit crazy. And I think I like that idea of people becoming a bit crazy around the Daleks because they're so... They lack in so much emotion and they're so inhuman that you kind of project what you want onto them.
Yeah.
And that's like quite a common thing in other Dalek stories. And I think it is quite believable.
So you get that scene where Suze kicks a Dalek out of the office for talking back, and she goes, "I only deal with the Dalek Supreme," and Carl's like, "Be care," but she just lashes out, sensing it's almost resentment. I think.
Yes, yeah.
Which is a bit odd. Do you think Suze actually believes that the Daleks trust her?
I think it's just wanting to survive and using what power you can. Whether it's based on truth or not.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Karlendorf wants to telepathically talk with her, and she says no.
Yeah.
And I found that interesting because it's almost the equivalent of like a married couple not wanting to have sex.
Yeah.
Because like it's this idea that it's such an intimate thing to do.
Yeah.
But they're both kind of worn down from years of working for the Daleks that they just can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Susan Karlendorf are brought before the Supreme Controller of the Daleks, which demands to know what Karlendorf's purpose is. The Daleks have spotted him mingling with other slaves without speaking to them. Karlendorf claims that they are praying for the fall of the Daleks. Suze continues to be obstructive until the Daleks exterminate some slaves that were doing some work for her. So we think their plans rumbled a little bit, but it's not. But what happens next? The solar system and Earth falls to the Daleks. Dun dun dun. And the President's last instruction is to put Tanley in charge of all surviving Earth forces. Tanley's first act is to contact the project director of Project Destiny, Aspelius, in the Lepara system. This alien shit lost me a little bit.
It's fucking awful. It's really bad. That's what's odd about this episode, is that the scenes with Suze and Karlendorf get quite dark and, loaded with a lot of drama and psychology. And at the same time, they then chuck in lots of aliens with silly voices, and it goes on for a long time.
It's all a bit Attack of the Clones for me.
Yeah.
Where you've got... which character is it? Is it... I think it's Obi-Wan goes off to this planet where there's a whole race of clones being built by some silly aliens, and it just feels a bit like it's pulled directly, which I guess is the best reference point you kind of got at that point is the Star Wars prequel things. So yeah, Aspelius and stuff like that doesn't really do it for me, but they don't stick around long, so it's fine. So the Daleks plan to broadcast a broadcast, like a galaxy-wide broadcast of Suze to speak to the slaves. Albie and Marana, who was initially sent to arrest Albie, head to Yaldos, where Suze is to make her speech. Marina is a late addition to the cast, played by Teresa Gallagher, who is also in the 5th Doctor story Snow. I don't really feel like she needs to be there. Like, she's got a plot point later on, but she doesn't really add anything to me. She's fine performance, but I just feel like it's adding another character almost for the sake of it.
Isn't she still a big part of the second series?
Maybe she is.
I think she is.
Okay, that explains it. But in this particular run, I wasn't really... I was like, she's doing nothing that Albie wasn't doing. It's like they killed Albie and they went, well, we need to give him somebody to talk to. Not Albie, Pellin.
Well, she does have a big role in the last episode.
She does. She's a traitor.
Yeah.
There's lots of traitors in this. Not traitors, but lots of Dalek. One part of me is like, there's a bunch of people that are secretly controlled by the Daleks. Is that a cool idea? Or are they just rehashing the same plot point again and again and again?
I really liked what they did with her in the last episode where the Emperor is in her mind.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know if I'm remembering this, but I think that becomes a big plot point.
Yeah,
because she can hear Dalek transmissions.
And the Emperor itself almost goes insane.
Yes, yeah.
And that's some of that stuff's really effective. But we'll come to episode 4 shortly. So in the Lopara system, the project director Aspelius obeys Tanley's directives and gives the order for the Infinity Scans test run. The Emperor speaks to Suze for the first time and tells her she has reached the end of her long journey. and you start to think they know exactly what Suze is up to. Suze makes her broadcast, and there is a massive uprising to the rallying cry of death to the Daleks. Albie and Marana land on Yaldos, where the rebellion has been a success, but Suze has been killed.
Great cliffhanger.
It is a great cliffhanger.
And also because you believe it, because at this point in the series, you know it's not the same universe as Doctor Who.
Yeah.
The main characters can die.
Yeah. You've been wrong-footed by the narrator, who you assume to be an older Suze.
Yes.
But actually it's not. But we'll come to her in a moment. So the final story of this series is Project Infinity, released on the 21st of January 2002. There was no news at the time. There wasn't even a Gallifrey Guardian in the DWM. The comic strip running was the 8th Doctor story, Children of the Revolution. The 8th Doctor book was The Adventuress of Henrietta Street by Lawrence Miles. And the past Doctor book was Instruments of Darkness by Gary Russell, featuring the 6th Doctor, Melanie Bush and Evelyn Smythe. Also, Big Finish had just released Colditz with the 2nd Doctor and Ace and the first appearance of Klein. And a book called Doctor Who on Location came out, which was a big, thick tome and basically a location guide, which would now just be a website. Anything there? We've talked about The Adventuress of Henrietta Street before.
Yeah.
I remember quite liking Colditz, and it's also notable for having a young actor called David Tennant in it.
Yeah. Have you covered Children of the Revolution on this?
No, not yet. It's a good one, that.
Yeah.
It's a good one. 3 months since the rebellion, it's going well. Carlendorf thinks it's going too well. And the Daleks are up to something. He also spots an insignificant little Dalek ship going to the Lopra system, which in itself is an insignificant system. Also headed there is Tanley, who has come to oversee the final stages of Project Infinity. But Albie thinks he can hear Suze's voice. Carlendorf and Marana find him on a mountain range where they discover Suze has transferred her memories into one of the legendary Seers of Yaldos. So they basically link psychically together, don't they? And she is the person that's narrating the story.
Yes, yeah.
What do we think of that?
It made me think of Nick Briggs. This is written by Nick Briggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It made me think of Nick Briggs, the same Nick Briggs that wrote Creatures of Beauty. He's still kind of interested in the order in which stories are told.
Yeah.
Rather than just doing the same story again and again. I like that as a kind of I like that as a plot twist, and kind of wrong-footing the order of how it's told, because it is odd, because in the first scene of them together, there's just the two of them on this boat, and the woman's narrating it, so you go, it could only be Suze.
Yeah.
So I think it's a neat twist.
He does a bit of that in this, particularly this episode. A lot of the stuff that happens in 3 that we're told about, you actually see, like Suze's death. You don't actually see, you don't actually hear in 3. You just hear what's afterwards, and then you hear her speech in this one and her dying, which I think is good storytelling. And I think, as you say, he's interested in changing the narrative a bit and not just doing straightforward storytelling. So the Emperor Daleks expected Suze's betrayal and already knew of Project Infinity. Albie also clings onto the idea that nobody found Suze's body, despite loads of people seeing her killed. They all bugger off to the Lopra system because of Project Infinity.
You're forgetting the most important bit, which
What?
is that she leaves a jar of pickled onions.
Oh,
there
of course, yes. Chekhov's pickled onions.
for Albie to find.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, pickled onions being the thing that reminds you of someone that you love?
Oh, yeah. Pickled onions are the sort of thing that when you've been together for 50 years and you get divorced and they go, and you fucking ate pickled onions all the time.
Yeah. It's like the toilet seat's still up. She's somewhere on the planet.
So they all bugger off to the Lopra system because that's where shit's going down. It's revealed that Marina is a Dalek agent that is linked to the Emperor Dalek, as we said before, but they sedate her and deactivate they think they've deactivated the link, but they haven't, and she realises that she could essentially access not only the Emperor but the Dalek attack network.
The scene of her being taken over by the Emperor and this kind of battle taking place, I think, is one of the best scenes in terms of the direction, in that it phases from the characters in one location to the Daleks listening in with all this other kind of psychic dialogue and turmoil happening, and it just works. There's no awkward exposition or anything like that.
It's really good, and to hear it's the first time you hear the Daleks kind of under threat in this as well.
Yes, that was the most exciting scene in the whole thing, I thought. And it's an example of when Big Finish get audio drama right, in that you can visualise all this happening without anybody saying anything clumsy.
Yeah.
Having said that, back in episode 3, there's a terrible, 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 terrible scene where Marana meets Albie for the first time, and she goes, "I'm pointing a gun," and then he goes, "In at the back of my head, you got it." And it's done. They do that scene twice with the same dialogue where they flip it, but the whole point is that actually that's how you would talk, because they're in spacesuits, so you've got no peripheral vision, and if you load a gun, you can't hear it. So on the one hand, it's entirely realistic.
Yeah. And
also, it implies that actually, anybody who goes into space, whether you're an astronaut, you end up talking like a Big Finish character. But it still sounds awful.
Yeah, it's true. They all say that.
Yeah. Tim Peake said it. He said,
Big Finish syndrome, they call it. The Daleks have Project Infinity, and Carl's troop attack them, and thanks to the link between Marana and the Dalek attack network, the human troops were able to be one step ahead of everybody. But everybody there has been killed apart from Tanley, who is suddenly revealed to be another Dalek agent. Dun dun dun. Mm-hmm. Classic Nick Briggs. This bit as well, there's a lot of battles and stuff like that, which I'm a little bit like, it would be nice for us to have some visuals.
Yeah. But it's almost like if Terrier Nation was capture and escape, in this it's I'm a traitor.
Yeah. It's just...
He's a traitor, she's a traitor.
We're all traitors.
Yeah.
So he basically pulls a gun on them, and then the Daleks arrive and their plan's revealed. They want to use the Veganite to power Project Infinity to find a bridge to a dimension where the Daleks rule supreme. And it turns out that the whole invasion of the galaxy was just a massive distraction, essentially. And they let the rebellion happen. They knew about it because they would then go unseen towards Project Infinity. I mean, obviously they needed the Veganite, but they could have just invaded the Vega system. Do we buy that as a big ploy?
I mean, it's all made up, isn't it? It makes me think of Death Comes to Time, where Tanis's plot is all a distraction. He invades the universe to distract the Time Lords from the fact that he's doing other things.
Well, no, that's not it, though, is it? He does it because the Time Lords won't stop him if he doesn't use his powers.
Yeah. Oh, fucked it. I don't know anything about Doctor Who.
No, it's rubbish. All I know about the Holocaust and art.
Oh, dear.
But you don't know your Doctor Who spin-offs anymore. Where have you been? So, Project Infinity, the humans were going to use it to find a universe where the humans defeat the Daleks and find out how they did it. So, it looks at all the alternative timelines. Yeah. The Daleks use it because they want to find out where the Daleks are the supreme race, and they find it, a universe, and we get some slightly high-pitched Daleks make contact. But when those Daleks show up, they're absolutely horrified to find that all the atrocities the Daleks have committed in this universe, which are the ultimate crimes.
Yes.
Because in their universe, the Daleks are keepers of the peace.
Yeah.
And protect people. So the alternate Daleks attempt to neutralise the evil Daleks of our universe who open fire to protect the Emperor, and soon a battle is raging between the Daleks of this universe and the Daleks of the other. That's a good cliffhanger.
That's a great ending, yeah.
And at this point you go, oh, this is part of a much bigger story, and there are 3 more series of it. What's your overall thoughts on this now?
Well, I enjoyed it greatly, I think, but it's very much just of its time in that it doesn't have a dramatic template to copy.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like it's a version of like the Dalek comics done on a slightly bigger scale.
Yeah.
And by a writer who is interested in exploring bits of psychology and how the characters behave in certain situations, but he doesn't have quite enough to it's not a love story, despite it being about two characters trying to reach each other.
It's lightning outside. It's a pulpy space opera with tried to be brought up to date, which is 21 years ago, of how you might do a sci-fi story, but it's not like a big sexy. Sexy sounds like a weird thing to say, but if you were doing it now, the love interest and like the romantic side of it would be played more. You know,
well, Albie goes and gets drunk when he's depressed, and the characters, love each other, and so at times it can be adult, and other times it isn't. It's a very kind of family friendly but very grim, dour series.
Do you think it had an influence on how Russell T Davies wrote the Daleks in the new series?
I don't think there's any difference between how the Daleks act here and how they act in the David Whittaker Dalek stories.
No, I feel you. Does it make you want to listen to series 2?
It does.
Yeah, me too. So who knows? Maybe we'll be back here another time talking series 2.
I'm interested in doing series 2.
Great. Well, there we go. Anything else you want to say before we wrap things up?
No.
Good. So, Dalek Empire Season 1. Is it a clanger, a banger, or an average meander? It's taken me ages to come up with it. One to go in the middle, but that's what I'm doing there.
I think that it's a banger.
It is an absolute banger. 2 certified bangers right here from us.
Too hot for TV.
Well, this has been an episode of Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. Next time I'm joined by Steve Hatcher of the Hoovers Group and the Hooverville Convention, where we're talking the Sixth Doctor story, the Marian Conspiracy, and the DWM giveaway story, the Ratings War, with the Sixth Doctor and Beep the Meep.
Ooh.
Yes, but until then, I've been Dylan.
I've been Jack.
And this has been Doctor Who Too Hot for TV.
Too hot for TV.